Hello and welcome to AutoSave. My name is Nick Andrade and I'm here with my co-host Camille Salazar-Hadaway, and on today's episode of AutoSave, we are continuing our trek through God of War Ragnarök. Cam, a lot happened in the last episode. Are you excited to see what's in store for this one?
I mean, we left off on a cliffhanger with the last episode. So, I mean, we're going to meet some interesting characters. I can't wait.
We did, and we're going to be entering the Ironwood, as we kind of did in the end of last episode. But if you need a refresher, this is what happened last week.
Although some are more obvious than others.
Ragnarök.
Aye. The end of everything.
So this is it. There's nothing we can do to stop it.
There must be a way. Why else is this hidden?
Look, here. This is what we saw. It's you, fighting in Ragnarök.
No. I can't.
What's this then? That's new.
Asgard is destroyed? But the other realms thrive?
And Odin dies.
She lied.
Roa lied. Of course she did. Odin's working off a false prophecy.
So Groa hid the truth from Odin, that Asgard is destroyed in Ragnarok, but not that it's going to be destroyed. That the other realms are going to thrive if Odin dies. So there is a prophecy out there that Odin will die and that all the realms will be living in harmony, which is exactly what I want to happen at the end of this game. So I'm happy for Groa's secret. Along with that, Atreus tries to get Freya to help us with no luck. And we also go through Alfheim with Tyr, and we learn more about Freya's brother Freyr. And Atreus gets into, a teenage fight with his father Kratos because, we all knew that was going to happen at some point. As Atreus goes to bed, he falls asleep dreaming of the Ironwood, and he gets transported somehow through his dreams, and he meets Angraboda. So that is where we left off last week, and now we get to travel the Ironwood in Jötunheim in Chapter 5, The Lost Sanctuary. That's 2 of the last 3 chapters, Cam, where we are playing as Atreus. How do you feel about that? Because I can already tell that the fanboys are crying in Kratos right now, complaining that we have to play as Atreus again.
Yeah, I mean, stop crying, fanboys. You know what? I think a lot of people, for the most part, are really excited to explore where the game will go with Atreus as it expands like that gameplay. So I don't think any of the fanboys or girls will be too frustrated with this. I'm more interested in seeing like what this means, like how they're going to integrate the giants and Angraboda into the story, because a lot of it is based on Atreus trying to find the answers of who he is, and it's like I feel like we're meeting her too soon. Like there's still a lot of game left, so I just don't know where it's gonna go.
Well, I have no idea who Angraboda is, apart from like looking up Norse mythology, and it's like, is Loki the father of Angraboda? I read some things that are and some things that aren't, so I'm not necessarily sure. But again, this is Santa Monica Studios. They can literally make up anything they want. This is a revisionist history in terms of playing a game. But I just wonder what her character is and what she's going to do in this. But I'm excited because she looks like a super cool character. Question of the day, Cam, which is something that came off my little tickle of my brain here, which is, again, we're playing as Atreus. Who are the best playable child characters in video game history of all time? There is someone in there that I know you'll say that I wrote down, but tell me who.
Playable child heroes of all time, Link.
Yes.
Kid Link. I would even add Toon Link to that because they're technically 2 different iterations of the same character, 2 different timelines,
yes,
if you will. Both very cool.
Is Link always young? always a child, or is he a teenager? Is he a man? Is it always child Link?
No. Oh my God, I gotta hit you with the education here, Nick. No, Link is not always a child. Like Ocarina of Time was really that game that established that like kid Link or the child Link, and then it splits off to various timelines where you have like the adult timeline. And in Ocarina of Time, you also play as an adult, and a lot of the newer games as well. Like he's an adult, like Breath of the Wild. I'm pretty sure in Tears of the Kingdom, since that's a sequel of that. And then you have Toon Link, which just kind of lives in its own world and is just adorable for its own reasons.
Interesting. Okay. I have some options as well. Number one, obviously for me, is Sora, who is the best kid character of all time. Although I don't know how old he is now at this point. He could be 87. I have no idea, depending on all these side Kingdom Hearts games. Diddy Kong is one, right?
Diddy Kong's a kid. Yeah, that makes sense.
Bowser Jr., right?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. I don't know if he's playable sometimes, maybe in like Mario Party, but
yeah, like Mario Party and stuff like that. Mario Kart.
Ellie in The Last of Us, right?
Damn, I forgot about all the playable kid characters.
There's a lot, right?
Is Crash a playable kid character? Like, would we associate Crash to being a kid? Like, I know Coco because Crash's sister, right? I associate to being a kid because she's younger.
Yeah.
Even though she's really smart, but I feel like just how Crash acts, I would say Crash is a kid.
It opens up a can of worms in terms of like kid characters, as like you don't even know if, let's say Ness looks like a kid, but maybe he's not a kid. Maybe he's like 75.
He talks in a deep voice. You remember that episode of Simpsons where they were shooting the Radioactive Man movie
yes.
or in Springfield, and then the actors were just really old, like real adults, but they're playing like kids. So they walk around and they're pretty much like all mole, like the Mole Man from Simpsons. And they all talk in like deep voices and smoke cigarettes. Is that what you're saying, Ness? I am
Jimmy Jillikers, but I think we're dating ourselves with our Simpsons references.
Jimmy
because
Jillikers.
I realize now, like I can't use my Simpsons references as much anymore, which is sad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When you reach a certain age, do they just like blink out of your memory? What happens?
No, they just, these kids today haven't watched these Simpsons episodes that we, loved.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Not that
that
I'm forgetting things. Is what you're saying.
I thought you or your memory. I was like, man, we gotta get him some like memory pills if those things exist out there. His memory's going.
What I wanted to mention, and I remember this, thank you very much, but this is not a video game related thing, but Justin Stewart from Power Rangers Turbo, okay? He was the Blue Ranger, and he turned from a kid, basically, when he turned into a Power Ranger, he turned into an adult.
Yes!
And that to me was like so relatable.
That is so weird.
Because it was like, I can be a Power Ranger one day, which is, I wanted to be a Power Ranger for so many years when I was a child. And it was the same thing with Big Bad Beetleborgs. If you remember those guys, they were children who turned into those giant fighting monsters.
Big Bad Beetleborgs. Yeah. It sucks that you have to be a hero. Like, to be a hero, apparently you have to be adult. I would like to say video games break that, as we proved with so many of the kids protagonists or the playable kids that are like really cool to play as. I don't know how to word it without it sounding a little creepy on my end. But they're playable characters that are younger and they're cool because they have a different perspective of life.
It would be funny to see like a kid like Solid Snake or something. Like if a game had an adult character but they were like a kid, that'd be hilarious.
Would we just associate anything that's chibi? Like, there's the chibi like Solid Snake statues out there. I have a couple. Would we just associate that to being like, that's a kid version of Solid Snake?
Yes,
I
agree. Also, how old are some of these Final Fantasy characters either? We don't even know how old they are.
I mean, Marlene, not playable, but I would not want to play as her. She's annoying.
I think I saw on one list like Vivi from Final Fantasy IX is apparently a child.
Yeah, Vivi I think is a child, right? I feel like they're all really young. Teenagers are fun because they have all their angst.
Exactly.
But then they're sometimes annoying if you don't have like full control over them. Like, that's one thing that I'm liking about this game. It's making me feel more empathy towards Atreus, and we'll probably talk about that more.
You haven't really shown that. You've still mentioned how annoying he is, so I don't know. We'll see in this chapter because it's all about Atreus in this one. After the break, Atreus gets to find out more about the Ironwood and Angraboda.
when you said you knew me...
Like I said, you'll get your answer soon enough, Loki.
Right.
Is that not your name?
No. It is my name. I'm Loki.
So the Ironwood hasn't been touched and is safe from Odin because he doesn't know it exists. Angraboda already knows who Loki is and tells him that her destiny is basically to explain what Atreus' destiny is. That is her purpose, and that's it.
That sucks.
It sucks, right? It sucks.
That is the worst. I looked up, this kind of reminds me when the day I found out what my name meant. Mm-hmm. So apparently one of the translations of Camille is the messenger.
Whoa.
That is the worst. Like I don't have anything against male people, but that is the worst. Like I would not want to be the messenger. Is that my only purpose? That sucks. That sucks. I'm always the supporting character.
Nicholas, by the way, means victory of the people.
Oh, that's great.
Which is some like Greek, apparently I was a Greek king or something like that. So maybe I'm Kratos and you're Angraboda, I guess.
You're Loki,
yes.
Right? And I'm Angraboda, like just saying, hey, here to deliver the message of the people, which is pretty much what I do, right?
Yes.
We deliver the message to the people here on AutoSave, and then you're the champion for all of us. There we go, Nick.
But hey, the theme of this episode is prophecy, okay? And the main thing here is that you don't always have to fulfill the prophecy. So you are not just a messenger. Ooh. You are more than that, is what we're going to explain in this episode. Cam, first in impressions of Ironwood. This is now the third realm where we've seen new Alfheim. Of course, we saw a different version of last game, and then Svartalheim was new. Ironwood is new, but this is basically the third realm we've seen that is basically new to us. How did you experience Ironwood?
Basically new, but basically not. Like this is now like the third foresty type of environment that we've been in, but somehow this game all the time manages to blow like these environments out of the water and make it feel refreshed and new. Like the colorations of like this fall coloring is just so beautiful when you're just seeing it all. Even like having the wolves like peering down at you as they're guiding you, like in the last chapter, to the point to meeting Angraboda. Like it just seems different. And I don't know how this game is doing it. Like it's small tweaks in the coloration and the color scheme. And I guess how they put like the sunlight, whatever filter they're using on this, it looks so good. Because we've seen a lot of forest woods in the game before. It's just great. Now they're exploring seasons with Ironwood. Like you're just seeing like the fall season. And now because of Fimbulwinter, you have Midgard that is in the winter season. So I guess that's how they reskin it to make it feel fresh.
I think it also looks like it's perpetually in sunset.
Yes.
And that's what also makes it cool. It doesn't look like an Ironwood. I thought it was going to look very metally for some reason because it's called Ironwood. But just like the perpetual sunset of it all, just everything's glistening and it's like golden almost, but also in fall. It's just beautiful. Just
the water, how it reflects off of everything. One thing we haven't really talked about is the different life forms that are in this environment. Like the little critters that are on the rocks. You think it's a plant and you're like, oh no, that's actually a living creature in this world. It's really cool. And they make it different in every different realm you're visiting.
That's what I do like about this game so far is they don't copy and paste a bunch of setting, like looks of one realm to another, like a plants or whatever, maybe enemies. That's kind of similar, but other than that, like everything that exists in one area does not exist in another, which is always good. As we head closer to where Angraboda lives, we have to deal with some enemies, and then to talk further, we learn that Angraboda's mother created most of the giant tapestries from Groa's visions that we see around the realms, but that her parents are both dead and gone, which is pretty sad. But they were used to kind of preserve the memories of the giants. They wanted to make sure that if something happened, that they could follow these memories, which is also really cool. Once we end up at Angraboda's treehouse, we end up seeing Atreus' shrine from Jötunheim.
I've seen this before, where we scattered Mother's ashes. It was on the wall. Everything had happened already, just the way it said. But this part was damaged. Oh, that's us. It's in the bag. Wonder who he is. Wait. No. No! It's not right. That can't be what happens. No. No. This isn't real. Ironwood's not real. Jötunheim's not real. None of this is real! Ah!
Hey! It's okay. You're fine.
Sorry. I don't know what happened.
Oh, don't worry about it. It happens to everyone.
That happens to everyone?
Not the wolf part, but getting scared about your future.
That cannot be my future. It says I serve Odin and my father dies. There's just no way.
Look, this is the only way things turn out. The sooner you accept that, the better.
Oh, shit, that was mean too.
So Atreus finally learns of what Kratos saw at the end of last game, the prophecy that his father will die, and it looks like at the hands of Thor, which is, Cam is already blowing her mind right now as we speak. He freaks out, turns into a wolf. He can't comprehend what he sees. Angraboda calms him down, but he's really just freaking out about this prophecy, as he should, but a little too dramatic. But again, like, he sees his father is dying.
He just found out. Too dramatic.
Yes,
oh my
too
God,
dramatic,
Nick. He
because
just
it's a
found out that
prophecy.
he is going to kill his father. Remember, this is Atreus who's been believing in all these prophecies from Groa's shrines, like all of and he's been putting his full heart into it, trying to find Tyr. It's all these prophecies that's been leading him to do that. Everything that he's believed in now is showing him something that he doesn't want to believe in. So he's pretty much questioning his whole purpose in life. Before this, he thought it was to follow those prophecies. And now he's seeing something he doesn't want to happen, and he has to go against what he's believed in because these are supposed to tell the truth, right? So, I mean, he's not overreacting. I think this is a pretty justified reaction with what he's learned, especially being a teenager and not having that maturity to deal with something that may be the truth. What I was more shocked at is that we're seeing this now. I didn't know we were going to, the game was going to expose the truth of that prophecy through a new character. I thought this would have been a moment between Kratos and Atreus, and we would have saw that play out more. I love that his reaction was just to turn into that wolf, and it still shows the growth that he has to do. And I'm curious as well, how much Angraboda knows at this point.
Well, I guess this is why I said he was dramatic, because the prophecy, again, this is something that Kratos has been saying from the beginning, which is, let's not focus on these prophecies. We can change prophecies. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything is set in stone. And when Atreus sees it, he freaks out because, again, it's just almost like it's already happened. And so for me, I think that everyone is putting too much onus on prophecy because, again, a lot of the mistakes that happen through prophecy is they try to follow it word for word. And then by doing that, they end up creating everything that they didn't want to create, basically.
And even in the first series of the first few, the original games for God of War, that's what it was, right? The prophecies from the Fates, right? So, and they actually tried to avoid their own prophecy to their demise as well. So it's it's so interesting. It's kind of the same storyline.
Yeah.
Or the same themes from the first games of God of War, and we're seeing it repeat itself. The question is, are you really able to escape your fate or escape these prophecies if they keep happening over and over again?
I think that's why I outlined this, which Angraboda makes a great point about. There can be two things where you can, find beauty in learning your path and trying to walk it. But a lot of people get messed up by learning about their future and trying to either stop it or create it or whatever it is. And I think that's where Odin is right now at this point. Everything he's trying to do is trying to stop Ragnarok.
But then would you accept that you're going to kill your father? Like, even if you like,
I try to change it.
I know what you're saying. You're not trying to believe in all the prophecies, but at the same time, it's already out there. So you're going to be very, I think it could also be caught up in the opposite way. You're trying to avoid something that happens where it could accidentally happen because you're not clear-minded when you're trying to avoid those things. You're not actually acting based on what you want to do. You're acting more based on what you think needs to be done to avoid something, if that makes sense.
It does. And guess who isn't clear-minded, like you said? Atreus. So, something it probably is going to happen, is my guess, that if he's trying so hard to stop it. Angraboda tries to take Atreus' mind off of everything by telling him, help me with some regular everyday giant tasks, and we need to plant some seeds. And so we need the help of Angraboda's friend Yala, who is this yak-looking ox-type thing with yellow hair and almost looks like a Jason and the Argonauts fleecy type character, like golden, beautiful hair, luscious, that I'm very jealous about because I'm bald. Whatever it is, Cam, he's just very, very, very cute. Is that your new favorite character, Cam?
I was like, Yala is super cute, but I was like, I am down for a God of War farm simulator. If this wants to be like a side game, I would totally purchase it. Like, even if it's like a mobile game, if Sony wants to put that out there, I am so down to be in Ironwood farming and like doing daily tasks. This, like, and having Yala, right? Like, that is the main thing about farm simulators. You have to have a companion, and Yala is the cutest companion to keep Angraboda like company. Yeah. So adorable, but super slow. I had to remind myself of Yala's cuteness while also getting frustrated with how slow Yala moves.
There's nothing cooler than an animal that has long hair that covers their eyes, which I love. But that's a great point that I didn't bring up, which is super slow, really, really slow, like deathly slow.
Yeah, at some points I was like, wait, am I supposed to move? Like, in this story, sometimes what will happen is you're having the back and forth conversation between two characters, and then you're actually supposed to do an action coming out of like a cutscene or whatever. So like sometimes I'd be like, wait, am I supposed to move forward? I'm like, no, this is just how Yala moves. All right, I'll just wait patiently.
I have a few questions here that I wrote down. One, do you like Angraboda's voice? Do you think she has a future in being a giant pop star?
Yeah. That's my. It reminds me of those old Yahoo commercials.
Oh, like yeah,
where they just yodel.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. I won't like make anyone's ears bleed by trying to attempt Yahoo commercials or Angraboda's voice, but I actually do like that they incorporated like this whole. It just makes Angraboda more mystical, like the fact that she sings. I like that they made also her personality just very quirky.
Yeah.
Like she could have been more mysterious, and I think that's the obvious choice to go, but they made her like have her cute little quirks and like just be high energy most of the time. This is a very exciting time for her because it's the first time she's interacting with someone in a very long time. So I like that she always second guesses herself or second guesses what she should and shouldn't be saying. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of her voice. I'm a fan of her. I'm a fan of Yala. I'm a fan of farm simulating, God of War, and Ironwood. A fan of all of it.
I think the reason why she's like that and almost like vulnerable in a sense is because she's a child as well. So she's like Atreus. She's Atreus' age, or she says she is. So that's why we kind of get that sense.
But she also lost her parents. Like, it's not like she's a child and everyone's alive and it's happy-go-lucky. Her people are dead. She is the last giant other than Loki. And that kind of sucks. Like, how do you, even as a child, not fall into that darkness? And it's great that she still keeps this lighthearted attitude. And it really, I don't know, it's warming. Like, it feels like she's just like a part of the family, which is also reflective of the environment that is very welcoming and warm.
Especially that she's been in this wood for a very long time by herself. That would drive anybody crazy.
Like, I would be talking to the wolves, dressing them up.
Yeah, that's also going crazy as well, by the way.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'd go crazy pretty much, yeah.
Atreus talks about he's been thinking about going to Asgard, basically. And he's thinking that maybe he's going to try to trick Odin, which again, he's the trickster god. So that sounds about right. But do you think this is a good idea for him to go to Asgard willingly?
Oh my God. I was so annoyed with Atreus. This whole, like, all these conversations with Angraboda about going, not like believing in the prophecy, but then also saying, I'm going to go to Asgard and talk to Odin, because I mean, me getting closer to Odin, obviously I won't fulfill that prophecy of killing my father. Are you kidding me?
Legit, right? Especially freaking out after that.
Like, I was just like, open your eyes, Atreus. Like, every time he'd talk, I think like there could have been a rolling eyes counter while I was playing through this chapter, because I was just like, Atreus, come on. Like, how do you not see this is actually going to make it worse for you, because you're going to maybe be more empathetic or have more care for what Odin's after talking to him. Like, but that may be us because we're adults, so we see more clearly.
I just wanted the record to show that you weren't going to be as annoyed with Atreus in the first segment, and you already are annoyed of his teenage isms here, where he's curious.
Yeah, sorry about that, Atreus.
Angraboda also says that there's a soul in Atreus's knife, and this is something I didn't realize last time, but Faye gave Kratos that knife to give to Atreus.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Faye's soul is in the knife?
Yeah, I thought that immediately when she said that. I was like, Faye? But then I was like, well, because I was like, maybe this is explaining like Kratos's dreams, like Faye's soul is still around them, which is why he had that dream off the top where he was seeing Faye. But then why haven't we seen Atreus talk to Faye if it's Faye's soul? Like, you know, like some sort of vision or some, like, how would her soul be in there, but she wouldn't have a plan on how to communicate them beyond the grave, right? So that's kind of, I was like, I don't know if it is Faye, but I am curious whose soul it is. And I hate that Angraboda was just like, don't worry about that. Like, it's just like, I'm not going to tell you. She knows all, but she's not telling us. That was the other thing. I was a little bit annoyed at Angraboda because I wanted to know so much, and she's not telling us everything.
She's got to have some mystery. It made me think of one thing just now, which is, why doesn't Atreus hear any voices anymore? Whatever happened to that?
Oh, yeah. Imagine if he has Baldur's soul.
What?
Because, like, when he was hearing voices was in Helheim, right?
Okay, let's put a pin in that and see if that resurfaces at some point. However, while we stew that, let's talk about skipping rocks. Because you could literally spend hours skipping rocks if you want to in this game. As Angraboda teaches Atreus how to skip rocks, and then you can actually just do it. And there's no time limit. How much time did you spend doing this?
I was done with it right off. So this is like me in real life. I cannot skip rocks. Sometimes I can. Sometimes I could fluke it. But majority of the time it ain't going to happen. So that's exactly what happened in the game when I was trying to learn the method. It's hard to skip a rock in the game. It's so funny that they made this hard. And it may just be me because I don't understand the concept of like skipping rocks. Because you have to like, you pull back, like when Atreus's hand pulls back, that's when you're like, it's a little sharp, like a twinkle. And then you're supposed to like let go or whatever. But couldn't get it. My timing was horrible. I was not good at it.
So your personal time of skipping rocks in real life and in a video game is not good.
Not good at all. How about you?
I think I could do 5 in real life. 5 skips. That's my guess.
Could you do 5 like in game? Back to
yes.
back?
I think I did the max, if I remember correctly. And then I'm just like, is there a point to this? And then I was thinking, is there a trophy to do this? And there was no trophy. So I stopped doing it. After some more enemies, Angraboda mentions that she has a gift for Loki. So that's where you have to head to next. She also mentions that the giants hid corpses in Jötunheim to make it look like they were all dead. Where they hid, she was going to show us.
Oh, more marbles.
Wait, you've seen these before?
Not these, but I found a few in Midgard.
Where?
Inside your mother's murals.
Oh, but that's... There are more out there.
What are they?
Just look.
Yahtzee. Brother?
Hey, careful.
Giants. These belong to the Giants?
These are the giants. They had a choice. They could stay in Jötunheim, waiting for Odin to find a way in to slaughter them. Or they could hide. My father helped whisper their souls into these.
So the souls of the giants are hidden in these marbles that Angraboda gave us. Can you believe that these marbles have giant souls in them? This just changes everything for us.
Firstly, I didn't even know giants could whisper souls. So, what the heck?
Right.
Secondly, why marbles? I guess like because they could be hidden, like you wouldn't really think about them. But can they choose the item they could whisper like souls into, or does it have to be marbles all the time?
Well, what would you want it to be?
I don't know, like something, a statue.
No, that seems like it could be teared down.
Like a miniature figure, like a small one you just hold in your pocket. You know, like a little keychain type of statue.
Can they make those?
I don't know, like a figure. It'd be cool.
So like you know Moon Knight, like something like that, where those Egyptian gods were like little gods, versions of themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Or like little chess pieces, like a little trinket. Why marble? I guess like marbles are just hard to find because then you would think they're rocks if they're just lying around.
Right.
Like you're more likely to dismiss them. So I guess it serves its purpose, but holy crap, that means the giants are technically alive?
Right.
Also,
What
I'm
does
not
it mean?
too clear on the corpse thing, like in Jötunheim, how
They mentioned,
because we saw them. And Mimir even said, oh, the giants.
Yeah.
Or actually, like, the giants are dead. Then we left Mimir and we went up there and we saw them, the corpses. So, like, how did they fake that?
That's what I'm thinking is like, okay, so now the giants were technically dead. Their souls are in marbles. Like, what does this mean, actually? Like, does that mean that they're actually, some of them are alive and some of them are trapped in the marbles? Like, it just seems like it's specifically mentioned for a reason.
And if the corpses are there, does that mean I could whisper, or like a Loki could whisper, or a giant of any like stature could whisper the soul from the marble back into the corpse?
Right.
Like, can they have their bodies back?
I don't know.
So that's the thing. I was just kind of like, how? How can giants, how are giants so dang magical? That's what I want to know. I didn't know giants were this magical because I only know of the green giant growing up.
Wait, the bean guys? The bean guy?
He's on Cans and Corn. That's the, and Jack,
What about Jack
and the Beanstalk. Yeah, but he wasn't
okay, there you go.
magical.
Yeah, he was. He was in the air, wasn't he?
He would go hunting and stuff. He wasn't magical. He was just giant.
He had a magic beanstalk that climbed to the sky.
It wasn't his magic beanstalk. It was the beans.
Huh.
Like, it wasn't his. Was it his? Why was he coming down when he lives in the clouds in his giant world?
I don't even remember the story fully, so let's not go into this.
We'll have to do this in a Twitter thread, but like, I never knew giants were so magical. Like, obviously playing the first God of War, we knew they were all knowing. I didn't know, and like, apparently they would see the future or the past or both happening at the same time. But I didn't know they were this magical to like be able to whisper souls. Like, they kind of seem like gods in their own right. Like, why was no one worshiping the giants?
Well, I don't know. We'd have to like go really in depth into their mythology.
I just have a lot of questions.
Well, it's got to be like a giant plot point here in terms of like, okay, the giants are technically, their souls are still alive here.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to see where this goes, but who knows? But Angraboda is upset because she believes that's it for her. As we talked about, she fulfilled her prophecy basically to just tell Loki that she has these things and basically to show Kratos dying at the end. So there's nothing left for her to do. So she's upset.
That sucks. I mean, I don't know how to say it. I would hate to be the messenger. And technically my name says I am, which like, no way you would want to know that you are a supporting character in someone else's story. And that's exactly what she's going through right now, which is unfortunate because I feel like she has to play a bigger role, especially because all the giants are gone. Like, it can't just be on Loki to save their people.
As we head back, we have to deal with quite a few enemies, from wolves to trolls, before we get back to our buddy Yala. There's also a cute little firefly scene where the two sit together kind of romantically. Aww. And Atreus, I think, is starting to have a crush on Angraboda.
Really? Because I'm having a crush on Angraboda. I'm having a crush on this ship. Like, and I think that's what made me like Atreus more, is their back and forth. Because you see, like, even Atreus tries to give her flowers and she's kind of like, why do you give me that for? Thanks for killing a flower. Like, because she has no, like, those social cues she's learning because he's the first person she's interacted with in quite some time, right? So I really do like listening to their back and forth. Like, even how Atreus tries to impress her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely has a crush, and if he doesn't, I have a crush to ship both of them. So there we go.
As the two lovebirds get up, however, they hear a noise.
I meant what I said before. You know? About your paintings. They're really good.
Are you trying to cheer me up?
Yeah. Is it working?
Ask me again and...
About damn time.
What the?
Shut up. Too late to whine now.
Damn it.
Who was that?
Gryla. She...
What's wrong with it? I can't feel anything.
There's nothing to feel. Gryla whispered its soul away.
So Gryla, who we just hear about, has been whispering animals' souls away, which is kind of sad. And of course, Atreus, who loves animals, we saw at the beginning with Fenrir and you know how close he was to his dog, doesn't want that to happen again. So he decides that he wants to stop her. And as we move forward to this part of the game, Angraboda mentions that is her grandmother. And I guess she also is a giant. So now there are 3 giants that we know that are alive. So Loki is no longer just the only giant.
Yeah. But then I guess he's the only giant that could change into animals because that's a god thing, right? They established that in their back and forths. But yeah, like Gryla, I don't know what's going on with her.
Yeah, we've never even seen her yet, right?
No, we haven't even seen her. We haven't even heard of her. We only heard of Groa, right? So it's like, who's Gryla?
Oh, she's like the mad witch of the wood, I guess. But then Angraboda says, oh, no, actually, she's my grandma. And it's like, oh, okay. So have you like been hanging out with her? What's the deal with you guys?
Well, obviously not, because they don't have like, and that's the thing. You find out they don't have a relationship because Angraboda has only interacted with Loki recently, right? Okay. So obviously they don't have a relationship.
Well, that's sad. As the 2 giants in Ironwood, they should rekindle their friendship. Maybe if Gryla stops, possessing animals and
killing
stealing
animals,
their souls.
Innocent animals. Yeah, it's so weird.
As we head to Gryla's house, pretty cool that she has like this giant size house. It's not like a giant front door. I've been waiting for this forever because all these giants have been real, like just, 5 foot tall, 6 foot tall, regular sized people. I'm like, come on, let's get to the actual giants here.
Where's our Jack and where's the Beanstalk?
Where's the green giant bee man?
Where's the green giant guy? But no, yeah, because that's the thing too, because we've seen like some of their like trinkets fall into the normal world or Midgard, and they're huge, But yeah, all the giants, Loki given one is small. And that's the thing. I was like, okay, Loki is a giant, which means that because he's half giant, half god, he's normal size. But I didn't think all the giants would be normal size. Like when I saw Angraboda, I was like, oh, she's normal size too. Maybe it's just the kids. But it's like, no, they just grow that way. Some are really big and then some are normal size.
This is giant size. But Tyr is still also, he's tall, but I think he's like Hagrid, let's say, or something like that. Which is weird to me as well. So it's like now I'm seeing, okay, this looks like it's going to be like a 30-foot tall giant as opposed to Tyr, who's maybe like 8 feet tall. So I'm confused at the dimensions of these giants, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, like we need graphs. We need we need the breakdown of how giants are made. Also, it's I'm just thinking of like, how does Gryla have a kid who then spawns a normal size kid? Like, I don't get the science behind it, but okay.
My thought is that they can, like, with magic, turn into like giants. That's my thought, at least.
Oh, like they could just turn into them?
Yeah, so maybe that's what it is.
See, my thought is that they just are them. They are like giant all the time. Because wouldn't you just, if your people are being wiped away, wouldn't you just turn small and hide among the regular people?
So they're basically Ant-Man, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. So once inside her lair, as we call it, we see a dead snake whose soul has been ripped out.
Hold this.
What are you?
You didn't have a least favorite giant, did you?
What?
Never mind. This one.
No. You can't.
Your mother said I'd know what to do with these.
Yes, eventually. I just gave them to you.
I know. But they can't hide forever, right? And we can't just leave it here to die.
Are you sure?
No.
Okay, so Cam, I didn't pick this up when I played this. And just going through this scene right now, as Atreus puts the soul into the snake, you know what I just realized? And maybe you realize this too. But is that Jormungandr? Did he just create Jormungandr?
How could it be?
Or is it another snake?
How can it be He just talked to Jormungandr.
He did.
How can it be?
But they mentioned like there was a time something happened where Jormungandr went through time, and that's why Jormungandr remembered Atreus in a past in the last game.
Oh, shoot.
So is this baby Jormungandr?
But how can he transcend time? My brain is hurting. I never picked up on that when I first played through it. I was just like, dang, I really don't want to look at the snake right now. Snake phobia. Yeah. But this is cool to whisper a soul. When did he start doing, like, how do you, there's like no training for Loki. I feel like he just picks things up really quickly and is able to do this technique.
This is where I'm starting to think, like, is time travel now going to be a part of this game?
Well, remember what they said, Groa's shrine. I forgot which one, but Mimir mentioned that it's not quite that the giants see the past. It's kind of that they explain it, that they see the past and future. And it kind of happens at the same time, right? So I guess like he's kind of proving that. But yeah, you're right. Like maybe this is a young Jormungandr. Whoa.
Well,
mind blown.
Maybe we'll see. Again, I feel like we're getting planted a lot of seeds here in this chapter, and maybe we'll find out some more information as it goes on. Atreus gets freaked out actually here by the stones and gives them back to Angraboda as well. Mm-hmm. Basically, he also says, like, I like this cool scene where she calls him Loki, and he's like, actually, it's Atreus, which makes me think, like, now he's kind of like freaked out about all of this, and he's like, he's been trying to push himself to be this, champion of the giants, and now he realizes that maybe he's not ready for this.
Yeah, and it's not all that he wished it would be. I think what I've said before about Atreus, him looking for the answers is really what's driving him, right? And with this, like when he saw his prophecy and all of the prophecy of Loki's shrine, it's not what he wanted. But yet he was still looking to be this champion. And this was a moment that was going to prove that he's a champion. He believes he could bring the giants back by whispering their souls into things, to then not have the snake even recognize him and just kind of go off about his way. So he doesn't even know that if he was successful at that, which it doesn't look like he was, because it was just kind of like, all right, well, peace. Thanks for giving me life. Right. But he's also the giver of life now. Like, if you think about this, it's not that he's just whispering a soul into an item. He whispered it into a living creature and gave it life, which Gryla isn't doing, right? We see Gryla taking away life. He's the only giant that we've seen so far give life.
What giant did he give to, by the way? Also, they mentioned earlier, they're kind of like reading the names of the giants on the marbles. Who are these giants? I tried to like look them up online because I want to see like if that has a purpose as well.
Yeah, and what if that giant had a phobia against snakes?
Okay.
Like myself. Would I want to be put into a snake? Like, he probably just imprisoned that giant into the worst hell ever, being stuck in a snake's body.
How does he even know? There's no such things as mirrors back then, right?
Remember, though, like, he wants to be this champion, but yet he doesn't even know his people. So he doesn't even understand what it means to be a champion for his people if he doesn't even understand the full struggles that they've had.
Yeah.
Right, so he's never going to live up to that. And, that switch back to, no, it's Atreus now is just him, I think, starting to realize that he can't be this champion that he hoped to be.
I also know that mirrors were invented a long time ago, so maybe they were. Maybe they did have mirrors, so don't catch me on that. But also, this is like mythology, so who cares? All right? Whatever. Don't give me grief about it. Anyway, as they try to leave, Gryla does come back. And Angraboda wants to stop her. So guess what, Cam? It's a new handy-dandy boss fight against a giant-ass
Oh, this is so
giant.
good.
This was a lot of fun for me. How did you think about it?
I had so much fun. It was what I was waiting for. Like, when you think of giants, you want people that are extraordinary, bigger than a normal sized person. You get that with Gryla, but then you also get like this battle where you have to swing across to different platforms to try to evade her attacks, but then also kind of knock her, like, what is it, a pot that sucks souls? I don't even know what it is.
I think it
like
is. I think that's what it is.
Her cauldron as a witch. That sucks souls, and then try to knock her out. So it's really great to see that. And they still gave the effect, like, she's not super slow, but she moves slower than Atreus and Angraboda does because of her size. So they really give like this cliche kind of feel of what you would expect of a giant fight.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, you have to you light up the candles, right? And that signals a light up of the cauldron. It gets back up, and that's and then you have to defeat the runes on the cauldron, and that gives like it like I don't know how much damage it takes, but you can't really fight Gryla unless you do that. She doesn't take much damage otherwise, so that's basically what you have to constantly do. And there's a bunch of markers where you can kind of swing across. So that's what I kind of did. I just kept swinging around and around and around, so Gryla didn't attack me.
Swing for your life.
The mythology Spider-Man.
And we didn't really talk about it, but even Angraboda's like assist in this, like with her powers too, is really cool. Like, I really like her paint powers or whatever it is.
Oh, I didn't even realize what power she had. I wasn't even paying attention to that.
It's like paint or like drawing.
Does it come to life?
Like, are you serious?
Honestly,
you haven't used her as an assist?
I don't even remember her assists.
Oh my goodness. You need to go back and play. She has really cool powers.
Well, not as strong as Atreus, so whatever. Just kidding. Once you beat her and destroy her cauldron.
What did you do? I saved you.
I should have thrown you to the wolves right after I pulled you out of your mother. Get out!
Just
get out!
No. Let's go.
You think you've done something here, granddaughter? You are nothing! and no one will ever remember you! Not even Loki! You'll just be a forgotten chapter in his story! He'll be too busy mourning his father!
So that's some harsh words from Gryla to Angraboda. She basically says you're worthless, and all you're meant to do is to help Atreus, and that if she ever sees her again, she will kill her and wish she was dead like her parents. So pretty mean grandma, I gotta say. She's not a nice granny.
This is the thing, right? Like, all of her people are gone, and I think that's what Angraboda was trying to explain to Loki. Like, it's not that easy to say that she's evil or she's doing it on purpose. She's severely sick. She's so caught up in trying to kind of live what was and filled that void by sucking these souls out of these wolves and other living creatures, that she doesn't really see that she has like a granddaughter there that will go through so many lengths for her because she is family. Like, Angraboda and Loki could have probably killed Gryla, but because of that relationship there, and I think that hope that Angraboda has to save Gryla and help her realize, like, you know, there's an era in her way and like she could build on a happier life. It just really shows the care that Angraboda has for her grandmother. So these words are very harsh, and you see her cry at the end. And it was actually really, really touching because it's like she's not even closing the door on, you know, her grandmother. She's closing the door on everything that she's known before by losing that last connection to her prior life, like her family, all of that. And I think that's why she was trying to avoid visiting Gryla, because she knew it would come to this.
Honestly, poor Angraboda, she is dealing with a lot now. She finishes her prophecy, helps Atreus, and then her grandma hates her. So I really hope for the best for her, because she's a really new character, a really cool new character that we've seen, and I hope that she has more to come in this game. But we'll see. Once they head back to Angraboda's house, the two talk about prophecy a little bit more, and then she tells Atreus that he can wish himself back to his home, basically how he did previously to get to the Ironwood, and kind of fall asleep wishing back to where he wants to go. And he does. The only problem is he wishes himself to go back to Sindri's house, but ends up back in Midgard, where Hellwalkers are, and Atreus gets into a little bit of trouble before a familiar face comes to rescue him.
What were you thinking?
I wanted to visit Fenrir.
For 2 days.
I...
Do not lie to me again! Why did you come here? Alone? Do you seek death?
No more than you.
Then why? Why? What is it you will not tell me? I have tried to walk this path with you. We follow your every whim.
But you don't believe in any of it.
And still I follow. Because all that matters is that you are safe.
But that's not all that matters. Who's keeping you safe?
I do not need you to protect me.
You sure about that?
What do you know?
I can't talk about it. But I just need you to trust me. You kept secrets, but I trust you.
That's not the same.
Why not? You hid things. Mother hid things. You had good reasons, and so do I. Why can't you just...
Later.
No! Stop! Remember us?
Not sure this is a balcony we've met, lad.
How do you know?
Corporeal, but different. Looks like our master's finally done it.
Don't want to fight.
Holy crap-a-doodle, what just happened? Kratos saves the day with Atreus. We fight this Valkyrie who ends up being Freya. And
Yeah.
wow, basically Freya, I guess Atreus freaks out, turns into a bear, and then Freya realizes that Kratos can actually help her kind of break this bond that she has to Midgard, where she can't leave the realm, and almost makes a truce a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like, during that fight, I think she went there to kill. Like, you don't suit up and not go there to kill Kratos, right? And I think she went there. Yeah, well, she almost did try to kill Kratos. And I think when you have, I was going to say Loki. See, this is also another
Really
thing.
tough.
When I was playing this chapter, I kept saying Loki because of the whole Ironwood stuff. And then when we came out of this, I was still calling Atreus Loki. So I apologize if I do that a couple times. But yeah, when you have Atreus then trying to protect his father, because remember now, he's seen this prophecy that his father is going to die, but he doesn't know exactly what events will lead to that, right? He's going to be very protective, and they obviously have a close bond there with everything they've been through. And I think when Freya sees that Kratos is holding Atreus back, I think that's when it like kind of sunk into her. Like, I think it was kind of like her conversation with Atreus. She was revisiting that conversation with Atreus and was just like, yeah, I kind of want to kill him right now, but there is a greater purpose and I don't necessarily want to kill Atreus. Right? And cause that conflict there.
Oh yeah, so then it starts a circle of revenge where then Atreus comes after her. But I do think there's a lot to point at Atreus first talking to Freya, kind of as you mentioned, which is that conversation which we thought didn't really lead to anything. I think maybe put a seed into Freya's mind, which was, okay, maybe they can be useful to stop Odin. This is the first start. And she's about to kill Kratos, but I think all of that comes flooding in terms of like, okay, look at this Greek god who's very powerful, can take down this bear like nothing. I need that help in order to go to Jötunheim and free myself from this curse. But I don't trust them still, and I want to kill him. But right now, let's just use him. Because I don't think she's in the mindset, was like, I forgive you. She definitely wants to still kill him.
No, she definitely is still holding a grudge against Kratos. But I think also in this moment, she's seeing, because we've heard Kratos say it before, that it's if she wants to take his life, he understands. Yeah. I think she's seeing by him holding back Atreus, it's kind of like in front of her saying like, no, Atreus, let her kill me. Like, but not necessarily saying let her kill me because he wants to protect Atreus, right? Like he's just saying like he's come to terms with what he's done. Like he understands the repercussions. Right. And I think that kind of hits with her like, oh, he's not just spewing all this nonsense to kind of protect his son. He actually is living up to the fact that he is ready for me to take his life if I need to.
But also like Kratos, I think, likes Freya, correct? Like it's not just like he understands what he did and what he did was wrong, or like that you can come back for revenge. But I think he wants Freya to like be a part of this journey because I think he actually really does like her. I'm not talking romantically, Cam. I think that's what you're thinking.
No. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying. No. No. I know what you're saying. He does. They're friends, right? He always thought of Freya as a friend once they established that bond. And I think he understands as a parent where Freya's coming from. Of course. Like the fact that she was not able to do what was necessary because it is her son, Baldur. And I think he is also experiencing that right now with Atreus, knowing what Atreus could potentially do to him and also get into the mix of everything else and bring kind of this idea of war to multiple people in the realms while he's trying to stop Ragnarök, right? So like it's interesting because where they are right now, it mirrors each other with that.
Well, we'll see what the hell happens next because Freya is going to use Kratos as they head to Jötunheim. Brock and Sindri show up as well as they are going to go on a next adventure. And who knows if Kratos even survives this. But we're going to have to wait and see. On next week's episode, after the break, we're going to talk prophecy. Okay? Because I got a lot of gripe with some of this prophecy talk. Because again, sometimes you just don't need to follow what was said before. We'll continue that conversation next on AutoSave.
We've got to be more than a bunch of stories with our endings already written. What happens to you now?
I don't know. Like I said, once you're gone, my part in this is over. So, feel free to stay.
I think your part is as big as you want it to be.
What are you gonna do?
No idea. But I can't just sit back and let my dad die.
So a lot of discussion about fate in this episode, whether or not prophecy has to be followed, or if you can ignore it, change it, maybe just accept that it's true and continue on that path. But, Angraboda seems very much cemented in that. I think Atreus does as well, but Atreus wants to change it. And he keeps having his father's messages in his mind about, not having to follow prophecy. But I think it is very much ingrained in him because he still looks at himself as Loki and as the champion of the Jötnar, and that he needs to either stop Ragnarok or make Ragnarok happen and destroy Odin. So It's like this almost conflict in his head constantly. But I guess for me...
Can I just touch on that too? Because when you were talking, I'm actually thinking, I bring up this fact of identity. Atreus is trying to find who he is, what this means, and all these prophecies. But at the same time, he's trying to be three people at once. He's trying to be Loki, the giants. He's trying to be this champion for the giants, and he's trying to be Atreus. And I think with all of that, where he's seeing the conflict is the fact that he can't be three people at once. He's trying to separate it. Yeah. Because he's not learning from his experience and what is out there, the knowledge that all of the three have into one. Like when he was with Angraboda, he is trying to be Loki. Mm-hmm. He is trying to be a giant, which is understandable, but he doesn't really talk too much. Like he talks here and there about Kratos and his father, but he doesn't really, I don't know, I just feel like he's not really making it his own. And I think that's what's going to have... That's why he's having such a hard time. He's trying to, like you said, live up to that prophecy, live up to other people's expectations of what he's supposed to be.
Well, again, he takes it hard at the end there. I think that's what makes him realize that he can't beat all these people at once, which is why he, tells Angraboda, call me Atreus. Because I think he's starting to realize now that even though fate is in his own hands, potentially here, he still is not necessarily who he wants to be.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that comes from Tyr and everything that happened with him as well. Maybe he's starting to realize that Kratos is a little bit right in a sense, but also because Tyr became almost a shell of himself and he didn't get the answers he wanted from Tyr. I think that's also maybe in the back of his mind in terms of he's not sure if he can be the god or the giant that everyone says he will be. And he's taking his father's potential death very hard at the moment. He doesn't want it to happen, but he doesn't see if that can change. And I don't know. It's difficult to say.
I will say, I really liked how when he was leaving Ironwood, Angraboda actually taught him how to wish himself to go home.
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny because he wished about or he was thinking of his home in Midgard rather than Sindri's house. So it just shows how Midgard is just so attached to him and his identity. So in a sense, he really only sees himself as Atreus. I don't think he fully even believes deep down inside he has what it takes to be this champion or to fully be Loki. So he's also dealing with those doubts as well when he comes to that.
That connects for me in terms of Atreus wishing himself to go back to Midgard and his old house. Makes me connect the dots with in Alfheim. If you do one of the side missions where you save those jellyfish, those giant jellyfishes, which I did in the previous, before I got to the Ironwood.
Same here, yeah.
I did this. And, Kratos says, the reason why he keeps kind of wanting to do these little trips with Atreus is because he wants to remember the good times, remember the old times. He doesn't want to move forward with this quest that they have to do. He wants to kind of if Atreus says, oh, let's go do this, he wants to go do it so that he can kind of like be in that bubble. So I think Atreus in his mind a little bit wants to still do that as well. I think he is, again, he wants to be this god, he wants to be this champion, but he also wants to still be a kid, which is so pure.
Yeah.
And I kind of love this a little bit.
It is so pure. And I think, even with that thought and knowing where Kratos is coming from, Kratos knowing his fate and based off these prophecies is trying to cherish that time he has with Atreus, and I think really prepare Atreus for a life without him. Whereas we don't really see that like reflect with Atreus because he isn't accepting to the possibility. And that's the thing too. I feel like when the Giants are putting this out here, it is a possibility. It's not necessarily prophecy of like this is going to happen, but it does tie in because it's kind of like probability. When I look at these Giants shrines and the prophecies that they're telling, I more think of it with the idea of it's probable that you will do this. So, I hope that he's able to change the outcome of that prophecy because I really don't want to see Kratos go. But I think it's going to take a lot of guidance and a lot of guidance from Angraboda as well. Like, I hope this isn't the last time we see of her. I don't think it will be, especially because now I guess he could go back to Ironwood if he wants to. And he also can't tell anyone about Ironwood, which is really frustrating. In this chapter, I appreciated playing as Atreus because of his dialogue with Angraboda, and like it was just an enjoyable chapter and beautiful chapter in Ironwood. But then it's really frustrating because I've been waiting for this moment for so long where Atreus finds out about the full prophecy of what's supposed to happen in his shrine.
Yeah.
And I was hoping for a conversation, right? Like the first time he sees Kratos, and he's not going to have that conversation in front of everyone. So I'm probably going to have to wait.
You're going to have to wait. But like we saw in this mission, things are coming faster than we thought. We're getting a lot more answers and explanations faster than maybe we initially thought it was going to happen in the game. Because I think God of War 2018 is a little slower build, but I think they're really amping things up here. So I'm excited to see what happens moving forward because it looks like everything is going to hit pretty hard. And I'm also preparing myself, playing this game for Kratos to die in this whole situation because of everything that's happening in the prophecy. Like I'm 100% sure that Kratos is going to croak in this one. He's preparing Atreus for life without him. So
I'm not ready.
I'm pretty nervous, but we'll see what happens. Moving on from fate and prophecy, just a couple things here. We find out from Angraboda that Faye left the way of the giants a long, long, long time before Angraboda was born.
Yes.
So
yeah,
that's why she survived basically this giant purge, is what I'm guessing, in her woods, I guess.
Like why Faye?
Yes.
Or why
Faye.
Angraboda? Oh,
I don't know why Angraboda's alive, to be honest. Did we find out there? Did she say anything about that?
No, she didn't really go into her parents' death.
So maybe there's more mystery than we think about her.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to see her and hopefully get more on that story. Like, why was she kept in Ironwood? Yeah, but with Faye, I was hoping, too, she would have more answers around Faye or know Faye to give us a little bit more details because I'm still creeped out on how Faye just appeared in Kratos' dream and then, like, spoke to him directly. Creepy. But yeah, Faye is the other big mystery with the giants that we still don't know. Right? Like, it seemed like Faye was a normal giant, I guess, like being a warrior.
Yeah.
But then, like, I don't get, like, she wasn't able to change into animals. I guess not. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we don't really know that. We don't know what her powers were.
I think it's just because Atreus is part god that's kind of how his powers manifest, especially with how you use his transformation. It's like the rage meter that would be for Kratos, right? So I think that's just how his powers transformed because of the giant's connection, I guess, with animals in general. I have no idea. But yeah, I want to know more about Faye and why she left the way of the giants so long ago. But yet, it seemed like does this explain why she never told Kratos anything? Because she didn't believe in any of the prophecy stuff? Right? Like, there's so many questions now that I have.
Or maybe she did, right? Because of spreading the ashes, that's something that she wished for. Is that something that, I don't know, they see the prophecy. Is that the point? There's a lot of questions we're asking here with no answers, by the way.
There's no answers. Like, or was she like just saying like, this is my last wish. I want to go back to my people, like this graveyard that my people like, or this world that are with my people. And then the Atreus' shrine, his prophecy was put after that. Like, I don't know. I have no clue, but I'm really curious with Faye because I just don't know if she's more than a giant, if that makes sense.
Well, guess what? Hopefully we find more answers as we move forward, but I think we're creating a lot more questions than we are answers. This sounds like an episode of Lost at this point. We got a giant polar bear in the middle of a beach and we don't know why.
Well, we're kind of lost.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. We are kind of lost. Maybe that's the title of this episode. Anyway, a lot happened, but we're probably not going to find out a lot more about Atreus' story right now because guess what? We have to help Freya in Jötunheim and we get back to play as Kratos, which is super exciting. But it looks like we're going to find out more about Freya's story in the next episode of AutoSave. AutoSave is produced and hosted by Camille Salazar-Hadaway and myself, Nick Andrade. The show is also produced by Dylan Wilson. Gameplay and additional elements provided by Chris Seitzer. Technical production by Greg Fillion. Executive producer, Clayton Hansler. You can follow the show at AutoSave Podcast on Twitter and AutoSave Pod on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now, and if it happens to be Apple Podcasts, kindly leave us a rating and review, but only if it's good. AutoSave is a Soda original, hosted on the Soda Podcast Network.